When guys come from space to come and cause nonsense on this planet of ours, they look as beautiful as Marilyn Monroe on her honeymoon. Be careful of nice-looking guys and goddesses. They are up to no good, as the sheriff said to the outlaws. Angels will come amongst us, and few will be able to recognize them for what they are. Some will come for great good, and some will come for the darkest evil.
Credo Mutwa was indeed an angel. We had an angel in the midst, but few of us were able to realize this. Today I would like to share a dream in honor of Babu Credo Mutwa. I'd like to share a dream where Credo Mutwa was teaching me certain things. Credo Mutwa, just like Mudemunchu, was able to project himself into other people's dreams and actually teach you things in your dreams, right? Just like Mudemunchu is able to do that. For those who know who Mudemunchu is, so in this dream, I'm there with Credo Mutwa. We are in this bush, and out of the bush comes a serpent, right? A snake. And then this snake comes towards us. I panicked and I grabbed an axe and tried to cut the snake into two. But Credo Mutwa actually stopped me from doing that and signaled me to watch what was happening. So the snake came towards us and it circled around us, right? And then after doing that for a couple of times, it went towards a tree, right? And then it did the same thing. It circled around the tree for a couple of times, and as it was doing that, it started changing. It started metamorphosizing into different animals, from being, from growing legs to being different types of reptilians and whatnot, and different types of animals and different types of mammals, right? And then after that, it changed back into a snake, right? And then it moved towards Bab Credo Mutwa. It went behind his back and then disappeared. That is when now Credo Mutwa, I saw him raising his hands up high, and I saw him kneeling. It was as if he was about to pray, right? And I actually heard him utter a few words, and then he started walking on his knees, right? Like a baby or like a twasa, a traditional initiate. And then after walking on his knees, he stood up and started walking normally, right, on his legs. And then he walked and walked, and then out of nowhere, his umpati, his custodian, appeared, right? And then I don't know what they were doing there, but I just saw Umkhulu Credo Mutwa growing wings, right? And as he grew wings, he took off along with his custodian, both of them at the same time, headed towards the yellow sunlit sky. And then as they were flying, I saw them, surely they started as winged people, right? And then as they were flying, they became birds, right? And then I saw other birds now. There were a lot of these birds. I couldn't even differentiate who was who. And all of these birds, along with Credo Mutwa and his custodian, were headed directly towards the sun. I knew that they were not like just going towards the sun, they were headed to the sun. Right? And then I woke up. So in this dream, Credo Mutwa was basically teaching me about the mystery of the transmigration of the soul and also the mystery of ascension. And he was also revealing who he was, as I said in the beginning, that Credo Mutwa was an angel. We had an angel in the midst, and I saw him with his wings, right, along with his custodian, Umpat. His custodian was actually quite tall, taller than him, with like broad shoulders. He was big, not like a giant, but a bit like a giant, you know. So in this dream, Credo Mutwa was expanding his teachings about the transmigration of the soul. I saw it, right? The bush represents, in fact, from Indaba, my children, we learn that a soul transmigrates from one stage to another, right? It starts off from the grass phase up until the star phase, from the grass phase to the tree phase, and from the tree phase to the animal phase, and then the human phase, which is the phase that we are on right now. And then after this phase, after this human phase, we go to the bird phase, and then the reptilian phase, and then ultimately the star phase. This is very much similar to what Abangoma Abafihluweyo teach, that man goes from being a beast to being eternal, right? From mineral to eternal. So in this dream, remember, I was with Kredo, we were in the bush, and then out of the bush came this serpent, right? So the bush represents the grass phase, and then the serpent went to the tree. The tree represents the tree phase. The serpent circled around the tree, and then it started changing into different forms of animals. That's the animal phase. And then it changed back into being a serpent, and then it went towards Credo and disappeared behind him, right? And now Credo would represent the human phase, right? And then Credo then developed his wings, representing the bird phase. And in fact, as they were flying, they started changing into birds, you know, that represents the bird phase. And then they were headed towards the sun, right, representing now the star phase, which is the sun. They were not headed towards the sun, they were going to the sun, and them integrating with the sun would actually represent, or would be represented by, since they were already birds, this would be represented by a winged star, or a winged sun, or a winged disc, as they call it. Why now, Credo integrates with the star. So in this dream, really, I was being taught, I was being shown at the same time, right? being taught about the transmigration of the soul, and being told and being shown about who Credo was, about the fact that Credo Mutwa was an angel. Definitely, he was an angel. And on this video, he actually talks about the fact that there are a lot of these angels that have incarnated at this time. And some of these angels are not good, some of these angels are just bad, you know. But some of these angels do come with you know, the light and the purity of divinity itself. These are the old souls that have been prophesied to come during these times of great changes. Right? So there are many of these guys, and on my other video I spoke about how if your birth is prophesied, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna bring good changes. Right? So it's the same thing that Credo Mutwa is talking about here. There are angels in the midst. I have spoken.